Looks like it's going to be another video indoors. I was really looking forward to going outside on the court today and do the next exercises on the court, but with the rain, looks like another video inside. All right, so now we're going to go into some volleys. So I'm going to hit volleys. I'm going to get a little bit closer and do forehand volleys. Forehand volleys. Now I'm going to do backhand volleys. Same thing, open face. I wouldn't do this too far behind. I wouldn't do this too far behind because you have to hit the ball really hard. So I don't want to put a hole in the wall. So I would do this a little bit closer, but just to get the camera angle, I went a little farther back. All right, now the next thing is some forehand chip. Open the face, same grip, cut the wrist, racket out in front, turn sideways. Now your arm can move, but you notice my racket does not move. Look how steady my racket stays. My racket stays steady. Absolutely no wrist movement. My whole arm moves forward, but there's no wrist movement. It's okay to take a backswing as long as you catch it in front. Backhand, it's okay. Same thing, cut the wrist. For the backhand, the key is you gotta make sure you got a 90-degree angle between your racket and your grip. All right, so we have that 90-degree angle. Turn the racket sideways, cut the wrist, and use the whole arm. There's absolutely no wrist movement. There is absolutely no wrist movement. All right, weight transfer, lean into it. Look how steady my racket is. My racket stays steady. My whole arm can move, but the key is when my racket goes back. You see the angles that it starts with? My racket goes back, it goes straight through maintaining that angle the entire time. My racket is not wobbling. Some of the exercises we did prior to this video were to help you with balancing and keeping your arm steady. If you're hitting this ball, your arm has to be completely steady. Notice it's not moving, and my racket is pointing towards the camera, towards you right now. So when I hit the ball, it's still pointing towards you, and it stays pointing towards you as much as possible. My racket is not doing that, because that's a flick of the wrist. We don't want that. You want the racket to just go as straight as possible. So I'm gonna do a couple more. There's no flick of the wrist. And okay, so now once that's too easy, you know the next progression. Let's alternate. So you hit a forehand, backhand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand, forehand, backhand. Woo! That is a workout. That is a really good workout. And not only am I moving, getting my heart rate up, but I'm getting my timing, and I'm getting my weight transfer, and I'm working on all the basics that I need to work on. So that is very good. Now, we I'm going to talk about one of the hardest shots there is in tennis, in my opinion. Now, everybody's different, obviously. The serve. You can win matches or lose matches because of your serve. And the serve is the one shot, personally, I do not like to practice in a group lesson or practice a lot in a private lesson. Not just I'm saying practice, not learn how to hit it. Because the serve is the one shot you can practice by yourself. You don't need a partner, you don't need anybody. And once the coach or trainer or somebody shows you, or you watch a video or whatever it is, however you get the information. Once you get the information, the rest is up to you. You have to practice. You have to hit hundreds and hundreds of balls. And this is the one thing you can do by yourself. So, make sure you got the grip correct. Make sure you got the grip correct. And one of the best ways I always say to hold your racket, when you take a Sharpie, if you look at the racket in front of you like this, if you take a Sharpie and you draw a straight line, that line should go smack in the middle of your arm. Now, I did just say I do not like to show people what they do wrong, but this is slightly different. If I hold my racket like this, if I draw that straight line, notice it's not going through the middle of my arm. So that would be a wrong grip. So I gotta hold it in a way that it's going straight through the middle of my arm. That is the same grip for your serves, and you can tell from the back there, that is the same grip for your serve, that is the same grip for your volleys, that's the same grip for everything other than your forehand. Okay, now once you get the grip, the next thing, another thing to check if you've got the correct grip. If you're right-handed, your racket has to be pointing, this is the tip, pointing that way. Your racket has to be slightly pointing to your left. If you're holding your racket and your racket is pointing to your right, you have the wrong grip. You have the wrong grip if your racket is pointing to the right. If your racket is pointing to the left, you most likely have the correct grip. And it has to be facing up a little bit. So if it's facing to your left but facing down, you have a wrong grip. It has to be pointing slightly to your left, and it has to be slightly open without you twisting your arm. You should not feel your arm twisting at all. Now, from here, very slowly, take the racket back at the same time with the other arm, and keep the strings of the racket facing down the entire time. So here, facing down the entire time. The elbow stays below the shoulder. At no point does the elbow come above the shoulder in this backswing. And you get into this position. I like the arm and the racket to be somewhat parallel at one point. So if it's like this, that's not parallel. So it has to be somewhat parallel. So when you toss it, it has to be like that. Parallel. When you toss the ball, or do it from this side, it has to be like that. The racket and the arm have to be parallel. If your racket is pointing to the left, you most likely have the correct grip. And it has to be facing up a little bit. So if it's facing to your left but facing down, you have a wrong grip. It has to be pointing slightly to your left, and it has to be slightly open without you twisting your arm. Now, I have to go upstairs where I've got slightly higher ceiling, because I can't toss the ball right now because that's how high my basement ceiling is. So I have to go upstairs just to give you an idea. One of the biggest things with the serve is the toss. If you get the toss right, everything else tends to go into place. It doesn't take as much time to get the movement, but most of the time comes from people trying to adjust to their toss. So if your toss is right, most of the time, everything else is easy. But it is so difficult to get a perfect toss every time. And depending on the level, depending on how hard you hit the ball. So if you want to toss the ball here, and you end up being here. You can get away with that if you're tossing, if you're hitting the ball at about 80 miles per hour or so. Now, the professionals, if they want the ball to be there, if they toss it slightly off and it's over there, that's a difference between them hitting that ball in the net, hitting that ball out, perfect, in the net, perfect, out. And same thing with right to left. That could be to your right. That could be to your left. That's smack in the middle. Try not to practice your toss with your arm down. Like doing this is just a waste of time. Don't just toss the ball up. Okay, you have to get both arms moving. You have to get both arms moving. So stand sideways like you're ready to serve, ball and racket together. And right now we're not gonna throw in the legs because we just wanted to try to get the toss. Toss the ball up and catch it. When you catch it, make sure the racket does not move. And again, so toss it up and catch it without moving your arms. So racket facing down, parallel lines with your arms. Racket facing down. After you toss the ball, you should not move at all. You should be completely still. And a toss has to be consistent. If the toss keeps changing, subconsciously you're constantly making adjustments. So it's going to be hard for you to have a very good serve if your toss keeps changing. Okay, I think that was it.